Hey, it's working, and I can see the side chat. It wasn't going to work if I couldn't see the side chat because the whole reason for live is so that you can communicate with me. I could do a video if I just wanted to talk to you, but I want you to be able to talk to me. So we're going to do a live chat, and I see that Ozark Spirit was here, and thanks for texting me and telling me that it was working. And I wasn't sure if it was or not, but when I tried to look at the side chat, uh, I don't know if I clicked a button or what, but basically the side chat just boom shut down. And I don't know if this is too. I don't know if it ain't working. So my mic ain't working. Nope, not working. You thought I was talking into a cardboard box, didn't you? Well, I have a little sound box there. And so I will bring this up a little closer. Maybe that'll pick it up a little better. And we'll see how it works from here. It seems to be working a little better now. And we have 14 people here. So that's different than the 2 that we had earlier. So let me give you a quick rundown of who's here. If you want your name called out, now's the time to put it down. Ozark Spirit, hey. MCK, howdy. I just put your knife over on the reloading bench. Andy Gone Fishing, howdy to you, preacher. One-Eyed Hippie, my old friend. Good to hear you too. I'm glad you're able to be here. Chris 338, I'm back, and it's good to have you back. David Gadberry, hello, preacher. Good to see you. I can hear you. Good. Bolt Action Reloading, thanks for being here. G. Bashir, hello, good to see you. I know some Bashirs. Oh, no, that's Pitchner. I think I mispronounced your name, but I can barely speak English, so don't hold it against me. James Pollard, can see me now. Good. Fitz Preacher Farm. Hey, neighbor, good to have you with us. I can't hear you. I bet you can. So, can see your lips moving. Maybe it's like a kung fu theater where the guy's talking in Chinese or Japanese or some Asian language, and they dub over some guy in English. Remember that? Did you ever watch that? Like back in the 70s and 80s, they would be like, the guy would start moving his lips. He'd be in some kind of kung fu stance, and he would be like, and then in the middle it would say, "You die," and he would still be talking. And I was like, I think he said more than that. So, anyways, Will Rowell, good to have you guys. 67 Rebel SST. Thank you guys for coming in. It's good to have you all with us on the live chat. Now, what I intend to talk about is any questions that you have, and I want to tell some barbecue stories, some fishing stories. I give a gardening update and answer any questions and reply to any smart aleck comments that you have. My only request is this, that you keep them clean. I will not respond to dirty or inappropriate comments. Matter of fact, I just ban you. It's the easiest thing to do. And I don't want to do that, and you don't want to have to go through it. So let's start off with a barbecue story. I have had some good barbecue and some bad barbecue. If you followed the channel last month, you saw me eating barbecue in North Carolina. I ate barbecue at a place called Fat Buddies, and it wasn't good at all. I mean, it was like City Boy barbecue cooked in an oven or a crock pot. It just didn't have a good wood smoke. It was not cooked over wood heat. That's for certain. It might have been cooked in a pellet grill of some kind, but that was not wood burning cooking meat. I can tell you that for certain. So I would not do Fat Buddies again there in Western North Carolina. But then I had some good barbecue with Georgia Boy 44 and his neck of Georgia there in Jefferson, Georgia. We ate at the Iron Pig, which had really good brisket and really good beans. That was an all-around good barbecue place. If I lived anywhere near Jefferson, I'd probably eat the Iron Pig regularly. And then I had probably some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life with a couple of preacher buddies, Richard and Daniel, there in South Central Tennessee when we went to Schaefer's Texas-style barbecue and meat market in Summertown, Tennessee. And that probably was a top 5 barbecue restaurant. And I say top 5 because it's been a while since I've been to Kansas City. It's been a while since I've been to Alabama. It's been a while since I've been to Texas. but I know that level of meat is near the top. Everything is just perfectly cooked. The side dishes are well done. The service is good. I don't care how clean the place is. Look, I got an immune system. I can eat some pretty bad stuff. I can handle a cook that doesn't wash his hands like he should. I grew up eating barbecue where a guy smoked a cigar in his mouth while he cooked your food. So I'm sure I ate some cigar ashes growing up. But that was really, really good barbecue. So there's a new barbecue place in our area called Blue Ember, I think, or Blue Flame, Blue Ember, I think is what it is. And the word on the street is it's real good. So I'm going to try to go over there and hit it. So let me catch up the side chat. I see some new people there. Hobbies Hobo, thanks for stopping by. Reload everything. How's my 6 art coming along? It's just like it was the last time I left it there. KC24. Cigar ashes was flavor. That's right, Gary. So here's the deal. So the barbecue that I had was good. We got this new place here, plus Reed's Hometown Barbecue in Boonville, which is one of my favorite spots. He's getting a new smoker this summer, so he'll have 2 big smokers. And Steve and I have kind of become friends on social media since I did a video of his restaurant, and he's invited me to come down and kind of come back behind the scenes, and he's going to show me a little bit of behind the curtain where the sausage is made. And I'm excited about going back down there and doing that. I'm excited anytime I get to eat good barbecue. So, and then of course, I think it was in March, my good friend Ryan and I ate over here at Two Dudes Barbecue, which is literally 10 minutes from my house. And it is pretty good barbecue. There's nothing wrong with their brisket. There's nothing wrong with their pulled pork. And so I'm excited about having that. And I need to go back over there and see those guys again. I've eaten there a couple of times, but I just didn't take a camera. So we'll see a few gardening questions up here. Bolt Action Reloading asked, how's the garden after the frost? I lost 4 tomato plants, I think, that I had out in containers. I replanted those. I had 4 left over, actually, so it was no problem just to go back and drop new ones in. Everything else tended to come through all right. So the frost didn't really hurt it like it could have. So 67 Rebel says, I was going to send you some crappie poles, but it looks like Georgia boy needs all the help he can get. Oh, wow. Man, I hope he hadn't tuned in yet. You know what? It was really just one of them days where I couldn't make a bad cast, and it didn't matter what Georgia boy did. He couldn't get on him. It was almost like, and the thing was, I had a little rod I had been trout fishing with in North Carolina, and that's what I was crappie fishing with there. But either way, I had a good time. I'm telling you what, that's the second time I've stopped and visited with Georgia boy when I passed through Georgia. And I really want to stop sometime and see Kyle. I really want to go up and see Jamie. I wouldn't mind doglegging down into Atlanta and actually trying to meet up with Chico and buy him barbecue somewhere. But the point is, Georgia is such a weird place to drive through because all roads go through Atlanta, and Atlanta is a crapshoot whether you can get through there or not. And usually when I'm going through Georgia, I'm coming home. And so Georgia boy's on the east side of Atlanta. So I come to him first. And by the time I get through Atlanta and get on the other side where I know I'm not going to get hung up, it's already getting dark, or I don't have time to try to run up to Northwest Georgia and meet with those guys. And so it just never seems to work out. But maybe one of these days I'll go to Georgia and spend some time there, maybe a couple days, get around and see everybody there. City Boy Barbecue. Yes, sir. It's a real thing. It's where they take meat and cook it in an oven, whether it be a commercial oven or not, and then they pipe in a little smoke to give it smoke flavor. And if you've had real barbecue, you can recognize a phony real quick. The new Hornady version 11 reloading book has tons of 6mm arc data. Well, wouldn't you know it? I bought a big old giant Lyman reloading 50th anniversary book like year before last. So now I got to run out and buy another one. But my main thing on the arc, guys, is I want some Lever Revolution powder. They say that is the cat's meow for arc, and I just can't find it. You know how powders are right now. And if I could get some of that, I would get real excited about loading it. But of all the powders I have, none of them have great velocities. And what I'm wanting to do is experiment with lighter bullets to see if I can push the velocities of the 6-ARC. And the problem you run into is as you get the lighter bullets, you get a shorter bullet. And so the problem is you get these bullets that are too short and they won't cycle in the AR. So there's really no sense in me playing around with these bullets if I can't get a powder that's going to give me optimum velocities, because I'm trying to increase velocity. Otherwise, I would just load some of the ammo. I've got some 108 grain Hornady match ammo over there that I could shoot. So until I really get some powder, I'd just kind of be spinning my wheels. So not sure if I like the white sauce. Yikes. It's an acquired taste. It really is, Andy. I like it on chicken. And if I'm at a table where they've got a bunch of different if they've got a bunch of different sauces, I like to go to the white sauce every once in a while. Let me scroll down through here. Did y'all have any hail the other night or tornadoes? So we did have a tornado that went probably, I'm going to say 3/4 of a mile from the church. And we had a second tornado that went about 4 miles north of my house. And we had some small hail, but nothing big, Andy. A lot of trees down in the area. I only lost power for about 2 minutes, but there were houses around me that were without power for days. I think there was 100-something telephone poles snapped off in our area. It takes a while to set 100-something telephone poles. Let's see here. I have plenty I'll share. If you're talking about Lever Revolution, I would love to get my hands on some. If you're talking about something else to somebody else, then I was just wishful thinking. But Ozark, I really do need to make a trip to NWA, and I was kind of thinking next week might be the week to do that. So they're calling for rain about every day next week, and that'd probably be a good day for me to get out of town. So if somebody's got Lever Revolution within driving distance of me, have truck will travel. Let's scroll down through here. Preacher, consider maybe trying copper bullets. They are generally longer for a given weight. You're exactly right, Hobbies Hobo. And I have some, I can't think, Barnes. I have some 63 grain Barnes. I think they're varmint grenades. I used to shoot them a lot. I think I have a couple boxes over there. And they are an all copper bullet, and they do have long length because there's no lead. And that's one of the things that had me excited about doing it. But until I get some powder that'll push it, there's really not much chance of me doing it. So hi, Preacher from Sun City, California. I was in Sun City, California. When was that? NRA, Infidel for Life. When was that? 2 years ago? No. That wasn't Sun City. That was Sun Valley. My bad. It is definitely California, brother. I mean, I couldn't do it, man. You would have to have a really good job or just a really good wife that wouldn't move or kids there. I mean, there would have to be something other than living in California. And so Wright's Barbecue is now open. Believe me, that is high on the list of places to try. And but the word on the street is you got to get there at 10:30 and get in line, Ozark. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the word on the street. That's what I've been told by other barbecue guys. If you go to Wright's, get there at 10:30 and wait 30 minutes for them to open. Bearded Carpenter, we were just talking about a great barbecue spot down in your neck of the woods. And next time I go down there, I'm going to call you and we're going to have barbecue together again. And that needs to be sooner rather than later. But I've really kind of had a lot of stuff going on. That's why I haven't put out many videos. And I've really been pretty well hooked up and haven't been able to do much of anything other than be the pastor of the church. So you're here for the money. I know there's money to be made out there. I understand. I completely understand that. Get there at 10 a.m., not 10:30. There you go. So Might have to stand out there with umbrellas in the rain. uh, let's see here. Ate there a couple weeks ago, had killer beef ribs. That's what I want. I want the beef ribs. I've had those once in Texas and it was years ago. And so I really, really want to try beef ribs again. That's high on my list of things to do if I can get up there. I've heard the burn ends are good too, Andy. So my volume was off. You can start over. Oh man, I didn't say nothing worth repeating, man. You ain't missing nothing. We just been rambling, shooting the bull, answering questions. So the barbecue that I've had has been really good. And other than Fat Buddies, and I can't even remember the town over there, somewhere past Maggie Valley. I can't remember that town. One of those down through there somewhere in between Cherokee and Asheville, basically. But yeah, it was nothing. It was City Boy barbecue all the way. And then this Blue Embers, though, I've had several people that have sent me pictures from there. It looks good. Prices look fair. I'm really, really kind of ready to get over there and see how they go. Beef ribs with peas and carrots is the bomb. If you're a Yankee, you would eat peas and carrots with anything. Burn ends bacon. I watched a video of them making the burn ends, and that's what their burn ends are. They cut bacon up in cubes. I saw that, and I saw a guy eating it. And yeah, I would be ducking if I get the burn ends because I've heard they're that good. 10 barbecue down, 10,000 to go. Yeah, the thing is, before I ever did a YouTube video, I was a connoisseur of barbecue restaurants. That's what I did. And I just would go everywhere we went. I would say, y'all got a local barbecue place, and I'd go eat it. And I never thought I'd be making videos of it and people would be watching them, but it's actually what I do. Warsaw Patriot, thanks for coming by. Gas prices aren't fair. Well, that's what you get when you put 279 Democrats in control of Washington, D.C. and the rest of the country. And that's what's happened. So I know people want to blame Biden, but you really need to spread it around. There are 279 representatives of our government up there. And these are the kind of actions that they take. And this is the way they handle things. And I know somebody hacked the gas line, but look, there's a crack in the Mississippi River Bridge, 2 C-clamps and a good welder. That thing's fixed and we're back up and running. They're talking about shutting it down for a month, and they're saying no barge traffic for a month. I mean, give me a break. You can't drive a barge under the Mississippi River. It's literally like 60 foot deep. They can go around whatever you're working on. This is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Preacher, do I need to wear a mask during this chat? Yeah, put one on. You're in California. It's probably against the law to be watching this. This may be coming in under you may have to tune in on CB radio to keep getting this kind of material. Because when they shut us down on YouTube, eventually we're all going to be like back on CB radios, breaking for each other and having CB handles. So anyways, that's funny. Should I wear a mask? People are putting gasoline in plastic bags in the back of their car. No kidding. Ain't that crazy? I saw a lady just filling up like a silver tote, the plastic, like rectangular tub with a plastic lid on it. She had it in her trunk, just filling it up. I'm like, people are going to do this, and then we're going to get a news story of a garage that blew up and took out a half a city block, and then people are going to realize why gas stations keep their gas in tanks underground. I mean, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why we have designated gas cans. It's so crazy. So crazy. Julio survived a second COVID shot. I'm not getting them, guys. I already had COVID. I told somebody, they said, what was it like having COVID? And I said, it was kind of like cheap beer. You don't really want any of it, but after you had a drink of it, it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be. most people, I'm talking not everybody, but most people, if they get COVID, that's the way it's going to be. It's not going to be as bad as you thought. Now, that's not to say there's not a handful of people that get this and they get bad sick and they need to go to the hospital, and some of them die. And I'm not trying to belittle that in any way. But when you look at the numbers of people that have passed away from this, and you look at the way we're treating it and the way we've shut down our country, it just doesn't justify what we're doing. And the numbers that you're seeing are so inflated and so out of proportion to what they really are. I'm going to stop shy of calling it a hoax, because it's not. It's a real virus that can make some people really sick. But if you're young and reasonably healthy, and I'm fat and overweight, I didn't even know I had it. Okay, and most people are that way. So I'm not for shutting the whole country down because a couple of people might catch something every year. That happens with the flu. As a matter of fact, if you look at the total deaths in America for last year, they didn't go up. They were what they normally are. So, hey, I'm no doctor or disease expert, but I'm also an American, and I'm just tired of giving up my rights. If that runs a bunch of you off, I'm sorry. It's just who I am. Let's look at Uncle Jim. Thanks for coming by. I'm sure you've got some smart remarks somewhere down the line. Seen what going on at Warren's church? Yeah, ordained 3 women. I'm surprised they hadn't done it sooner. They were wackos from the beginning. That doesn't shock me. People are filling plastic bags with gas. I know. I-55 is going to be busy. Yeah, you have I-55 and I-40 going into Memphis from Arkansas. And they both are hopping most of the time, especially rush hours. If you close one of those down, it's going to be insane. So, yeah. Breaker 19, that's right. We'll all be talking on the base station. Upgrade to ham radio. Yeah, then you'd have to get a license. I don't want anything the government's regulating any more than a CB. Let's see here. Oh man, you guys are cracking me up. Cow Emporium's here. Glenn and Nettie's. I really enjoy y'all's videos. Living on a cattle farm, we do a lot of the same things, but being that you're so much further north, you do things differently than us. And I enjoy the differences, enjoy watching your channel. And I know the difficulties of living on a farm, and it ain't for everybody. I'm still your friend, preacher. Thanks, Ocean. I appreciate it. Well said, preacher. Thanks, old one guy. I appreciate it. 2 tin cans and a string. Well, yeah, I think you're right. 2 tin cans and a string seems to be that may be where we're headed to, and then the government will tap into that, I'm sure, some way or another. So I'm just tired of governmental overreach, to be honest with you. I don't want this to be like a anti-government show, because I'm pro-government. I believe that there ought to be a government. I believe governments are God-ordained institutions. God gave us government for the betterment of the people and the protection of society. And I believe they have the right to govern. I'm glad I live in a country where we elect our own government. Whatever you believe about the election, whether it was legitimate or rigged or whatever, it really doesn't matter. This is who we got. We're going to have to deal with it. Look, if it wasn't close, this wouldn't even be an issue. But you have to realize that our government is a reflection of 51% of the people in this country. And you may just have to come to grips with the fact that from now on, you might be the minority. So you just have to realize that, this is who your fellow Americans have selected, and that's what you got to deal with. Let me catch you up here. Sitting on the porch in a rocking chair, great way to communicate. That's right. We need to get back to more of that too and get off social media. Stolen. I don't know. I've never seen an election. I remember back in the Bush Gore days when we had the hanging chads. That was one state. Man, this time it was like 10 states, and there was all kinds of shady stuff going on. And so, it is what it is. Either way, we got the guy God wanted us to have. And I don't think he's a godly man. God may be judging us with a bad government, but I believe the Bible, and the Bible says that God raises up nations and takes them down. He appoints leaders and he removes leaders. I don't think any leader anywhere in the world has been appointed outside of the will of God. So, but I also know that God doesn't just give us good gifts; He gives us what we deserve sometimes. And in this case, I think that's what we got. We got what we deserved. So there you go. There's your political commentary for the evening. You don't even have to watch the news. I saved you an hour of disappointment and depression. They send you money for guns. Well, being that you work in a gun shop in the afternoons and weekends, I bet you've seen a lot of it being spent the last few days. I've stuck mine in the bank. I've got plans for mine, and it ain't guns. What my plans are is to build I want to build a shed outside, an open walled shed, and put my smoker on one side of it. I want to build a hearth to cook on. I want to have a live fire hearth where basically I have about a 5 or 6 foot long raised platform with a block walls on 3 sides and a chimney. And I want to be able to build a fire in there and get coals off of it and shovel the coals under grates and cook steaks on live coals. I want to be able to run a rotisserie across there and cook stuff over fire. I really want to do more cooking videos like that. That's the plan. But in order to do that, I need a slab poured and I need a roof over it. And then that'll also give me a place to clean and process game. I could do a lot more deer processing videos, a lot more duck and fish cleaning videos. I could do a lot of cooking videos out under that. I would have a place to park some of my equipment. I would have a place to spread out my garden vegetables and work through them. Could even can out there with a propane burner. And so everything I got from the government, I stuck in the bank, and I'm waiting to get a slab poured. That's one of the reasons why you saw us cut down trees and get those out of there a couple of months ago. I think that was in March. But we were doing all that with the purpose of the long-term goal of putting in a place there. It would kind of be a outdoor YouTube studio, basically. So let me catch up on the side chat. Preacher, it's time for God to remove the leader. Just saying. Well, he's not going to do that until we've learned our lesson. And I don't know if we've learned our lesson yet. A lot of people still think we got to give the guy some time. So here's what I know. I want people to be thoroughly sick of him so that when it comes time for re-election, if there's any of us left, we vote on somebody better suited for the office next time around. Spend them $1,000 wisely. Yeah, I'm setting on them. Who knows? They may recall them like they do everything else. Dems changed the rules so they could won by those rules, like it or not. It's legally legit. Behind the curtain is a different story. We all know it. I think you're right. I think if we didn't have all those mail-in ballots, I think if you didn't have all the COVID regulations and all that craziness, I think it would have been a different outcome. I mean, the margins were close anyways. I'm talking about in the states that mattered. So, yeah, I'm not saying that we ought to rise up and revolt. I mean, that's the last thing I would want to do. California meets North Carolina barbacoa. LOL. That's what I'm hearing from Preacher. No. You're misguided, Andy. I don't do anything California. And if it was California, I would deny it. Bought a suppressor. Awesome. I got my first suppressor last year. And I haven't shot it much. Of course, I haven't shot much, period. I'm telling you, my life's been busier than normal. And I'm trying to take some steps to get some of that fixed. Chicken house trusses with a fire pit. Yeah, but here's the thing. I had some chicken house trusses and I let them get away from me. But what I want is I want this thing like 3 concrete blocks high so that I'm cooking on level. I don't want to be bending down to cook in a Dutch oven. You know, I want it up at a barbecue grill height, but I want it big enough that I can actually pile up some logs, build a fire over here. I can cook over fire if I want to, or I can get a shovel and shovel coals out over here and cook over here, or I can just build a fire up there and shovel coals under and live coal cook a half hog or a whole deer. I've got a smoker now big enough to do something with. And so I've got a lot of plans and ideas there, and I want to be versatile and flexible, but I could also stick like 3 picnic tables out there and have a bunch of people over and, you know, cook up enough food to feed 20 people at a time. And so I've got some big plans there. I just need to get them going. I think we're living out Romans 1. Yeah, probably towards the end of the chapter too. Give him time to destroy America. That's like what I said. If there's any of us left, it's going to be crazy. He's already saying now you wear a mask. You either wear a mask or get the vaccine, and you wear the mask until you get the vaccine. So I don't know. I'm not getting the vaccine. Sorry, bud. My body, my choice. Or does that just apply to killing babies? I don't know. Asking for a friend. You ain't taking up cigars and whiskey like Spurgeon, are you? No, but I'm not against smoking a cigar or having a glass of whiskey. I'm not a teetotaler, and but I'm not a smoker. I used to smoke a corncob pipe. I used to dip snuff for probably the better part of, probably for a good 30 years. I dipped snuff. I started when I was about 12 or 13. And so I'm real leery about anything tobacco. I don't want to get drugged back down that road again. But yeah, I dipped snuff. Used to smoke a pipe a lot just for the heck of it. But no, I've never really been a big smoker. Not at all. But I thought the shirt was pretty funny with Charles Spurgeon smoking a cigar. I thought it would upset some rigid Baptists that need upsetting. So we'll see how that goes. An outdoor amphitheater for barbecue. That might be comment of the night so far. Sounds like something we all would enjoy having. I think it would be great because I would have a roof over me. I would have a concrete floor to walk on, no mud, none of that. I wouldn't be running in and out of the house, you know, trying to do things in here and prep them and then run out to the grill. I would have a table out there to work on. I would have basically everything I need right there, and I could video all of it right there. And having a roof over it, I could set the cameras up and not worry about rain. If it's hot, I could have a fan on me where I had some air blowing. I really think it would free me up to do a lot more of those videos, which I really enjoy doing. I enjoy cooking, to be honest with you. I enjoy cooking just about as much as I do anything these days. And the main reason is I can do it regardless of the weather. I mean, if it's raining, if it's hot, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm inside, I'm cooking. So if I'm going to do it outside, I want a roof, I want a fan, and I want a concrete slab. And if I get all that, then I don't think it'll be a problem doing the videos out there. And I think plus it'll open me up to doing some things that a lot of people aren't doing. And that's the main thing. You don't want to just do videos that everybody else is doing. How to smoke chicken. You know, I did a pork butt video. You can't just keep doing pork butt videos. I smoked a deer shoulder, but you can't keep smoking a deer shoulder. You're constantly having to do something different, something new. I had a new dish tonight that I kind of put together. I do a lot of rice dishes where I do a meat and rice and cheese. And tonight I had deer steak sliced thin, and I browned it with no batter, no flour. Just sliced it thin. I marinated it all day in some Allegro seasoning. Then I took it out. I dried it off. I shook some seasoning on it. And I browned it off in a skillet real good. I cooked some rice, and then in the rice, I mixed up some sour cream, some ricotta cheese, and here's the kicker ingredient: some French onion dip. You know, the round French onion dip here. I think it's Highland brand. Highland Dairy makes this like butter bowl size thing of French onion dip. I just put like 3 or 4 tablespoons in there. I mixed it around with the sour cream and the ricotta. Then I mixed that all in the rice. So I had this uniform kind of onion flavor with some creamy cheese and some sour cream. And man, I'm telling you what, that turned out really good. I went out in the garden and pulled some green onions and diced, threw some of them on the top. Had some onions layered in there with the meat. So I did a layer of meat, a layer of the rice mixture with the cream and everything in it, and then another layer of meat, and then another layer of rice, then a layer of meat on the top, and then I layered the whole thing in pepper jack cheese. Man, I'm telling you what, that was all right. And I've not seen anybody, I don't know of anybody that's used French onion dip as an ingredient in a rice casserole, but man, it was unique and it was really good, and I'll make it again. So, and I know if Cranky's still watching, he would have added peas and carrots, but the world's full of weirdos. He's just one of them. Let me catch up on the side chat. Hey, Austin, good to have you with us. I didn't realize that was you that asked that question earlier. Actually, what I did was I bought like 4 or 5 shirts on Amazon. I think it was 5 shirts on Amazon, and I had to reach a certain amount, and I got like all free shipping or something. So I added this one in there and got the free shipping. You mentioned rotisserie over live coals like they do in Northern California. Oh, I didn't realize they do that in Northern California. I don't really know as though I'll be doing a lot of rotisserie. And the reason being is it's just not my thing. But what I would like to do is have a pole across the top where I could hang meat on, like, or hang pots on with a chain and a hook. So you just go further down the chain to the heat if you wanted it hotter. And I would like to have that across there. I'd like to be able to string peppers across there on a wire and let them roast as I'm cooking. Not so much a rotisserie turning. I'm not saying I wouldn't put that on there. But then I'd have to get a motor. Then I'd have to have, I'd have to have the rod that I could take in and out. Be pretty, it'd be pretty. And I think I have seen them like roasting lamb and stuff in California that way. But I do want to cook over live coals, but mainly over fire, just pots hanging over, and then mainly over grilled meats. Well, I got the vaccine. Wink, wink. No need for a mask. Look, guys, I've had COVID. If you've had COVID, your body has antibodies. My doctor told me, he said, if you've had COVID, the chances of you getting it again are real slim, and the symptoms will be even less next time if you get it. This is what my doctor told me. I had like no symptoms this time, and I was telling him, he goes, well, you probably had COVID a year or two ago. He said, this COVID virus has been around, and all we have is the year 19 mutation of it. He said, it's going to keep mutating. It's going to keep changing, and you may get it again. But if you've got antibodies in your system to fight that off, which is what the vaccine tries to replicate, it tries to get you to build up antibodies to it. I've already got those. Why would I go get a shot to give me what my immune system, given to me by God, has already gave me? It just doesn't make sense. But so much of this stuff doesn't make sense. I mean, none of it makes it. Wearing 2 masks outside, wearing masks in between bites of food. I mean, it's just, I'm so sick of being told to follow the science by people who think you can be born with male genitalia but have the mind of a woman inside of you. I'm so tired of people who tell me to follow science and then do not believe in science. I just, a baby in a woman's body has a heartbeat. Oh, that's not a living being. That's just a blob of tissue. That baby could live on its own in a few months. And you're telling me it's a blob of tissue. I mean, if you want to talk science, let's talk real science and let's all follow it. Not this made up stuff with a political slant to it. Boy, I'm really on the politics tonight. Wow. I guess you needed to hear that, whoever you are, the 42 of you that are listening. Unless you're like James Pollard and you'd put the sound off. Hey, Porter, good to see you, sir. Let's see. I think I missed some stuff here. What's Romans 1? Romans is a book of the Bible that comes right after the book of Acts and right before the book of First Corinthians. And Romans 1 is the first chapter. And Paul in Romans 1 talks about the downfall of mankind, the thinking of man, and how mankind in his mind knows there's a God, but rather than worship God, he worships God's creation. And so this is what we see in mankind. He worships the moon and the sun and the fertility and the weed and the white buffalo and the volcano, and they throw Joe in it, all that kind of stuff. So that's Romans 1. And Paul talks about that and the downgrade and how they reject God in their thinking, and then the next thing happens, and then they fall to this. And then if you look at that, and I'd encourage you could Google it, look it up, you would see that we are at that lower rung where women don't do the natural things with their bodies. Men don't do the natural things with their bodies. You'll see a whole list of things that 50 years ago would have been unheard of in society, but today are commonplace. And so, I mean, it's something it's worth looking at. Feed them spiritually and physically. Nice. That's the plan. Get the wife to hand crank the rotisserie. I tell you what, you just send Becky over and we'll see how well she obeys. I cooked a whole bull on Rockefeller's giant pit. It took 8 of us to get it on the spit. It was a big charity event. Wow, Marvin, that's crazy. A whole bull. Wow. Huh. Follow the governor. I like cooking in the barbecue drum, rod on the top of the coals on the bottom. Yep. Remember when they actually encouraged BLM gatherings yet wouldn't allow family members to visit their loved ones in the hospital? Bingo. As a pastor, I make a lot of hospital visits. Of course, I didn't make any for a year. Wasn't allowed in the hospital. But we have a guy in the hospital. His wife's a member of our church, and she called me and told me he's got cancer, and he went in having chest pains, and they x-rayed his abdomen, and they gave him 2 weeks to live. And I said, well, can I come over? And they said, yes, a minister is allowed now. And so I went over there and I walked in and I told them who I was there to see. And they said he had already had his one visitor for the day. And I said, well, I was told I could see him. And they said, he's only allowed one visitor for the day. And he's already had that one visitor. And I said, well, I'm his pastor. And they said, oh, well, if you're a minister, you can see him. I was like, okay, great. But you have to go through security. So I had to walk around to the other side of the hospital and go in this door. When I got in that door, I had to sign and get a badge and give them all this information about myself. And I mean, basically fill out a ton of paperwork, then walk back around to where I was, go up to the room, go back out, check back out through security. And I'm like, oh, it just burns me up, man. But anyways, they are allowing preachers in Arkansas. And here's the funny thing, in Oklahoma, which I'm literally 15, 20 minutes from the Oklahoma line. In Oklahoma, you could do anything. You can have 4 or 5 people in your room in the hospital. So I guess that virus just knows where that state line is. And by golly, it ain't crossing. Silliness. I'm telling you, it's just silliness. Science falsely so called. I believe that is a Bible verse, Mr. Carpenter. I think you're correct. Real science, history, his story. That's true. Dogs are male and female. When you cut the nards off, the dog's still a he. It's a male. That's correct. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Maybe when pigs fly. So, preacher, you started casting yet? No, Jamie, I have not. I haven't had time to do really anything of late. Had quite a bit going on, and it just hasn't worked in. Brennan Shiflett, I think I said your name correctly. Should come up to the West Virginia mountains and do some fishing and eat some good barbecue. I would love that. I actually wanted to go up that way. On my last trip out to Western North Carolina, I wanted just to go on up, 81 that goes up through the Shenandoah Valley and cut over into West Virginia. I've been in and out of West Virginia, but I haven't really seen much of it. it's kind of a part of the country I haven't seen much of. I'd like to go there, and I'd like to try their barbecue. Believe me, if I ever get out that way, that's on my list. Um, yeah, hey, I tried to get in before, and they told me it didn't matter if I was the Pope. Of course, it was a Catholic hospital. I wasn't getting in. So, um, the mainstream. Yep, I believe that's true. Bruce Jenner for governor. You know, it's sad when you live in a state that people are actually considering him for governor. That's just crazy. Um, just paid the piper. You affected the children like polio. Yeah, I agree. If it affected children like polio, we'd line up to take it. And that's the thing. It's got a 99.8% survival rate. And it's and let's be honest, if we treated the original patients the way we're treating patients now, there wouldn't be near as many dead. But if you'll recall, um, some of the drugs that were thought to be helpful for this virus were politically taken off the shelf, not because they didn't help people, but because politically they didn't want them to help people. I mean, this whole thing reeks of a more of a political scandal than it does a scientific virus scandal. And I know it affects some groups of people worse than others. I'm talking about depending on your biological makeup. I know there are some parts of the world that are highly susceptible to it. I know there are others that aren't. I mean, we saw this when Europeans came to America, the diseases that we had that we were somewhat resistant to. I mean, it was brutal on Native Americans because they didn't have the antibodies and the resistance to it. So the solution is not to lock everybody down. It's to build up your antibodies and get over it. And that's the way we've done it before. You know, it's not a virus that if you get, it's a death sentence. It's a virus you get that most people will overcome. 90+% will never even get treatment. So it's, but here's the thing though. It should be up to you, and you're absolutely right. If you want to go get it, look, I know a lot of people that got the vaccine. I'm not anti-vax. If you want it, go get it. Just don't make me do something I don't want to do. Remember, that's the whole great part about living in a free country. So, good night, preacher. Got to get up early for work. Good night, Chris. Thanks for coming by, sharing your evening with us. Terminator to Pretender. That's funny, Andy. How's the garden going? That's what I was going to do. I was going to tell you how the garden was doing. The garden is doing great. I did have some rabbit pressure at the garden at my mother-in-law's house, our in-ground garden, and he has nipped back some tomato plants that were against, well, I shouldn't say against the fence, but closest to the fence. And I cleaned out the fence row real good. I sprayed it with Roundup and killed all the grass there. Then I went back with a torch and burned all the dead grass. So there's nowhere for a rabbit to hide near the garden. And that should kind of keep them back and out of the garden. So that's a good thing. Got the garden there kind of going the right way. I've got a tiller that I need to go down the rows with. They're getting kind of weedy. And so we got the tiller out, and a guy looked at it, and it needs a new carburetor. The carburetor's too rusty. So as soon as that carburetor gets fixed, I'll get that garden tilled up, and I'll give you guys a tour of it. Everything seems to be doing good. I think I've lost one pepper plant, and I don't know what happened to it. It looked like something stepped on it. I don't know. It was small and it was smashed. Might have been a hailstone. We had some pretty good hail there a few weeks ago. So, but something got it. But other than that, it's fine. Out here, the garden in the back, I'm in the process of putting down black plastic. I've been trying to do this for 2 weeks. I haven't had time. But I'm going to lay the black, not plastic, but landscape fabric all the way around inside the fence that we built around the garden to keep the chickens out. And once I get that down, I'll give you guys a tour of it. But the onions are doing great. My containers are all doing good. I have containers of cucumbers that are not doing well, and I think they're just getting too hot in the containers. So, but I'll probably, if I can get that black plastic laid down this weekend, and I can get that garden tilled up next weekend when we get the new carburetor for the tiller, I'll be doing some garden tour videos in the next week or two. So that's on the agenda to kind of give you, that way you'll be able to see it. And sunshine and sprinkles. I love that. Good to have you with us. All right. The virus has been weaponized and politicized. That's exactly, concisely what I think. It's a real virus. People really have got it. It really will make some people sick. It has taken a few lives, but for the most of us, it's not too bad. There was more people that died and got sick from the swine flu and COVID-19. Yeah, and I don't know all those numbers, but here's the thing you got to keep in mind. They were counting every death early on as a COVID death. And when they did that, that just inflated those numbers. And plus it brought fear on us. And the worst thing you can do is just go get crammed up and everybody in their house together. And then you spread it all around when you really ought to be out exercising and going to the gym, if you go to the gym or whatever you do. And so everything that we were doing was all wrong. And so I don't know about the numbers, but I know they're not true, accurate numbers. Cody, I'm glad you finally caught me on a live stream. Hope y'all are doing well. Enjoyed seeing you at church a couple weeks ago. Let's see here. What does the rest of your shirt say? It says, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see here. It's kind of an incense drifting toward heaven. Charles Spurgeon quote on smoking cigars. But I'm not a cigar smoker. I just thought it was funny. I'm still getting blossom end rot on my squash, but it's weird this year. We're not having any pollinators around. Okay, I have that problem too, and it's not a calcium end rot issue. It's actually a lack of pollination, which I think you're alluding to. So what we were doing, and I don't know how many squash you have, we would get a Q-tip and we would go and find a male flower which has the pollen in it, and we would run that Q-tip all around and load that Q-tip up with pollen from the male flower, and then we'd go around and touch the inside of all the female flowers. And we would do this 2 or 3 times, and it's not a blossom end rot, it's a lack of pollination. Without the pollination, the squash doesn't fully form. Once we started doing that, that worked. If you don't have a Q-tip, take a male flower, pull the petals off where you can actually get the pollinating part of the flower. Just go around touching that inside those female flowers. The female flowers are the ones with the fruit. So sacrifice that male flower, go around and do all that, and that should take care of your problem. Now, you're going to have to do it for a while because a lot of them ones that are starting, they didn't get pollinated. So once you start it, just keep doing it every couple of days, pollinating what's there. Then you'll see that end rot go away. But that's what we have to do because we don't have a lot of bees. We had a lot a couple years ago. Last year we didn't hardly have any. I don't know. We've put out a lot of flowers this year, so we're hoping with a lot of flowers we can draw bees into the garden. I wish I knew somebody that had a beehive. I'd love to have them come out and set it. I'd even plant more flowers just to keep their bees and flowers. But chicken moat, huh? Yeah, pass the chickens first. Been doing any fishing? I went for a couple hours the other day. I caught a couple of little bass. The ponds are all too full, and by being too full, it was really hard to fish. They were all up in the brush. I couldn't stand where I normally stand. So, Mr. Dutchy Dutch, I want the whole thing over too. I want to get back to normal. I don't want a new normal. I want the old normal. I'm not fishing with a daggum mask. Oh man, that's funny. Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of people, Michael, started watching YouTube when they were stuck at home all the time. And that's part of it, too much time on the couch. I actually joined a gym last year and went to the gym. I hated it. I didn't hate working out. I just hated being around all the people that love working out, if you know what I mean. Um, I met a lot of really nice people there. But you've always got that one lady that wants to show everybody that she's there. You've always got that one guy that wants to scream and sounds like he's giving birth to a donkey while he's working out. And then you've got all your young kids up there flexing. And then you've got it's all the typical people you have hanging out at a gym. And I just never could find a time when they weren't there. And so I just didn't enjoy it, but I went enough to kind of keep me active. And now that summer's coming on, I'll have enough gardening and stuff like that going on that I won't need a gym. Yes, you swab. If you have a Q-tip, swab the inside of the male flower. That flower will be wide open, and then it'll neck down. And I think that, I graduated high school in '93, and I only took general science, but I think that's called the stamen or something like that, or the petal or something's inside that flower that has a bunch of pollen on the end. You want to take that Q-tip in there and run it around that and the inside of the flower and get all that pollen on that Q-tip. And then you just go in and you're just kind of dabbing it around in there and you're shaking pollen off. You're basically doing a bee. You're doing the work of a bee yourself. But if you just got like say 10 plants, do a male flower and a couple females, go to the next one, male flower, a couple of females. You go down through there and you've got them all pollinated. So that's what I would recommend. Good question. The pollinating preacher, I guess so. Preacher teaching sex ed on flowers. Well, you know what? If we had preachers teaching sex ed, they wouldn't be learning all this other stuff they're mandating out in California that kids learn. They really have no business being taught. So, all right, where was I at? I lost my spot there. Okay. We're getting after 9 o'clock. We probably ought to start wrapping this thing up. If you got a question and you've been watching and you haven't asked it yet, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to get it in here. I'm going to run down these real quick. And I'll give you a last chance. You got a comment or anything, you got a video idea you want done. I'm not going to promise anything because honestly, guys, I've just been too busy, and I've got to get unbusy. I need to get down and see Paul at the Bearded Carpenter and see his log cabin. I've been wanting to do that for a year, and it ain't happened yet. And I just keep getting busier and busier, and I need to make some changes in my own life, pawn some of these things off on other people. We got bees and down trees. Man, Rodney, if you need a place to go with them, you're welcome to bring them over here. All my trees are up. Yeah, something like a pear tree, Ozark. Ocean, it would be, there's just way too many flowers to keep up with what's what. Some flowers have male and female parts in them. Here we go on sex ed again. And a lot of times the wind will jar enough pollen off the top to land on the bottom. But with squash and zucchini, some cucumbers, they'll have a male plant, have a male flower, and then they'll have a female flower. And you've got to get that from one way to the other. So I think extreme cold killed a lot of my fruit trees were burnt. I had 2 muscadines that I had bought last year and grew in 5-gallon pots. I was going to transplant them to a trellis. They did not come back. I think the extreme cold here got them. Believe me, Rodney, I would love to calm down and relax. And it's not that I'm stressed. It's just that I've got too much responsibility. I've taken on too many things and I need to give up a few of them. So that's kind of my thinking. My wife is going to be home in a minute. They had some stuff going late tonight, so I knew I wouldn't have anybody in the house. But when she pulls up, old Champ, the German Shepherd here, is going to jump up and start barking. and that'll be the end of the live stream. And I don't want to end on Champ barking. So, any updates on the new chicks? Yeah, we have 11 of them here at the house and a brooder, and we're going to get them up a little, quite a bit bigger, and then eventually, when they get where they can fly good, we're going to work in the hens with the existing chicks and the chickens in the backyard. So that's good to have you hang out with us, MCK. I appreciate you. Are you going back out west this summer? My wife wants to go to the beach. Now, I took my personal trip to North Carolina and back. That was a couple weeks ago, back around mid-April. And my wife's talking about going to the beach. So if that's the case, I won't be going out west. I'll be going south. What is your favorite proverb? Man, Tim, I don't really know if I have a favorite proverb. I don't know as though I'd have one that I would elevate above the rest. I think of a lot of them right now, but I don't really know. I don't really have like a favorite verse. I never really classified things that way. I guess that's my problem. Catfishing or frogging, please. All right, I'll tell you this, Hobbies Hobo. Frog gigging here is becoming extremely difficult. I don't know if it's because they're spraying the pesticides on the crops and killing the bugs that kill the frogs that eat the bugs, or if frogs are in some kind of decline, but bullfrogs are just getting hard to find. So probably won't be doing any frog gigging. We've had so much rain here, the Arkansas River's actually flooded, and it needs to drop about another probably 6 feet before I can do any catfishing. But I have a side-by-side. I can get around the river now, and so I do plan on doing some catfishing this summer. Just maybe more like mid-June before I get around to it. Good night, Andy. Chicks dig him. They actually dig my wife. They're her chickens. She takes care of them. And I probably need to go out and shut the gate on the big chickens in the backyard before the coons start meandering around. We have caught 5 coons, I think, in the past 3 months or so. Thanks again. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, A. Porter. Austin Presley. Doesn't fertilize it. Yeah, I've got a hen out there sitting right now. She's fixing to get put into a cage tomorrow and broke from being broody. Come to Panama City. Actually, we've thought about making just a full tour of Florida. I thought about starting on one side and going all the way to the Keys and coming back out. So if that's the case, maybe I'll see you in Panama City. You take time where you can. Thanks for the live. Yes, I am very busy, and that's where a lot of my busyness is coming from in the church. Not only am I the pastor, I also do a podcast. I do some other stuff on the internet that's more ministry related that y'all probably don't know anything about. I'm busy in the church. We've got some other things going on in the church, not like bad things, just extra stuff that I've gotten involved with, extra things that I need to be doing, and it's just got me busier than I like to be. And so, anyways, 6mm arc video. I want to get that done, and like I said, the main thing on that is powder. Good night, Ozark, and I'll holler at you next week if I get up to Northwest Arkansas, and maybe we'll eat lunch. So, good night, Hobo. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down. I don't see any comments on there other than good night, and that's what I'll say to you guys. Good night. This is what makes YouTube fun for me. I don't like being the guy that just does the video and puts it out and doesn't ever say anything. I try to comment. I try to reply to every comment. Sometimes YouTube messes up. Sometimes I don't see the comments. Sometimes I post replies and they don't get back. And I'm busy as a beaver behind the preacher's church. That's funny, Ozark. So I enjoy the interaction, and that's why once a month I want to sit down and do a live and let you guys comment, and we interact and go back and forth. And that's what I do. And I consider all you guys my friends. And maybe if I ever get the porch, the big shed built, we'll have a big preachers meetup, and Everybody can come over and we'll cook up a bunch of possums and coons, and y'all can all go home with a bellyache. Nah, I'm just kidding. Anyways, thanks for watching and good night. I'll see you on the next video.